She thought they were her best friends. They laughed with her, ate at her table, slept under her roof. But one night, they took her for a drive, and by morning, she was buried 6 feet underground. They didn't cry, they didn't panic, they just smiled, because they had been planning it for months. Today, we are diving into a case so dark, so chilling, it will make you question every friendship you've ever had. This isn't just a murder. It's a cold, calculated execution by the very people she trusted most. Stay with me, because once the full truth comes out, you won't sleep tonight. It was a warm July evening in Star City, West Virginia, a small, sleepy town nestled against rolling hills and thick woods, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, where doors are left unlocked and secrets are hard to keep. But what happened here in 2012 would reveal just how well darkness can hide behind a smile. Her name was Skylar Neese, only 16 years old, bright, outspoken, smart, a straight-A student who loved books, Harry Potter, and hanging out with her two best friends, Rachel Schoaf and Sheila Eddy. They were inseparable, a trio, always laughing, texting, sharing secrets, posting pictures on Twitter and Instagram like any other teenage girls. But behind those smiles, behind the filters and hashtags, there was something festering. July 5th, 2012, Skylar finished a shift at Wendy's and came home like normal. She kissed her parents goodnight. Everything seemed fine. But at 12:31 a.m., a grainy surveillance video captured her sneaking out of her bedroom window. She climbed into the back seat of a car waiting just outside. And then, she vanished. Her parents woke up the next morning to an empty bed. Her cell phone charger still plugged into the wall, her contacts, her makeup, untouched. But Skylar was gone. They called her friends, they called everyone, but no one knew anything, or so they said. For days, then weeks, the community searched. Flyers went up, news outlets ran stories, people prayed. But there were no signs of struggle. No witnesses, no clues. Except for one. That same grainy security footage, a blurry image of Skylar slipping into a car, willingly. So the question that haunted everyone was simple. Why would she leave in the middle of the night and never come back? The answer would shake this small town to its core. And when the truth finally came out, it wasn't a stranger, it wasn't a kidnapping, it wasn't even an accident. It was worse. Much, much worse. Her killers were her best friends. When Skylar's parents saw the surveillance video, they were confused. Why would Skylar sneak out in the middle of the night? And more importantly, with who? The car was too dark to identify the driver. Police initially thought she ran away, but her parents knew better. Skylar was independent, yes, but she was also cautious. She had never done anything like this before. Days passed, then weeks, and still no trace. The police questioned Rachel and Sheila, the last two people known to be close with Skylar. They both said the same thing. Yeah, we picked her up, just drove around. We dropped her back off an hour later, down the road from her house so her parents wouldn't wake up. It seemed plausible, but something about their stories didn't sit right. They were too polished, too rehearsed. They were trying too hard, to sound innocent. And then, something even stranger happened. Sheila Eddy, the girl who was supposedly devastated over her missing best friend, started posting cryptic tweets. "No one on this earth can handle me and Rachel. If you think you can, you're wrong. We really did go on 3. You'll regret it." The tweets were haunting, like a confession disguised as teenage rebellion. But at the time, no one understood what they meant. Not yet. For months, the investigation stalled. The community began to grieve without answers. Skylar's parents kept hoping, begging for a miracle. But deep down, they feared the truth. Behind the scenes, the FBI had joined the case. They were watching Sheila and Rachel closely. They interviewed them again and again and again. Each time, the girls gave the same story. Until finally, Rachel snapped. It was December 28th, 2012. Almost 6 months after Skylar vanished. Rachel Schoaf's mother called 911 in a panic. Her daughter was having a breakdown, screaming, crying, Something was eating her alive. Within days, Rachel walked into the police station and confessed. Rachel's voice trembled as she said the words, "We stabbed her. We stabbed her to death." Detectives stared in shock. "Who is we?" they asked. She looked up, her eyes red and hollow. "Me and Sheila." It was like something out of a horror film. Two 16-year-old girls, best friends, cold-blooded killers. She told them everything. On July 5th, she and Sheila had planned the murder in advance. They packed knives, paper towels, bleach, clean clothes. They put it all in the trunk. They picked Skylar up like it was any other night. They laughed, drove around, then took her deep into the woods near the Pennsylvania border, a place they had visited before. They said they wanted to hang out, to smoke. Skylar had no idea she was walking toward her own grave. It was just after midnight, the moonlight filtering through the trees. The three girls stood in a clearing, surrounded by silence. And then, Rachel counted. 1, 2, 3. They lunged at her, knives in hand, over and over again. Skylar screamed, fought back, begged, but she was small, outnumbered, betrayed by the people she trusted most. She managed to break free for a moment. She ran, but tripped. They caught her and continued stabbing until she stopped moving. At the end, Skylar asked, "Why?" Rachel said nothing. They buried her under a pile of dirt, rocks, and branches. Left her there in the cold night, then went home like nothing had happened. 16 years old and capable of something so monstrous. Rachel told the police where to find the body. 6 months later, Skylar Neese was finally found. But the pain, the betrayal would haunt everyone forever. The snow had melted by the time investigators reached the spot Rachel described, a remote patch of woods in Greene County, Pennsylvania. Quiet, forgotten. And there, beneath a shallow grave covered in branches and rocks, they found what was left of Skylar Neese. 6 months. Her body nearly unrecognizable, but her parents confirmed it with DNA. The girl who'd once lit up every room was now just bones and ashes beneath a cold sky. Dave and Mary Neese were shattered. They had clung to hope for so long, and now all they had left was grief. But worse than the loss was the truth. Skylar had not been taken by a stranger. She hadn't run away. She had been hunted by her best friends. The question on everyone's mind was why? Why would two seemingly normal teenage girls do something so unthinkable? Rachel's answer? We just didn't like her anymore. That's all. No rage, no revenge, no long history of abuse or trauma, just pure, senseless evil. They had planned it for weeks, talked about it in text messages, even practiced. And the most disturbing part? They had laughed about it afterward, gone to school, lived their lives like nothing happened. While Skylar's parents searched, while news channels ran her face, while the world prayed for her safe return, Rachel and Sheila were hiding a secret so dark it turned the entire town upside down. When the news broke, the community was stunned. People who had known Sheila and Rachel since kindergarten, teachers, classmates, neighbors, couldn't believe it. These weren't criminals. These were cheerleaders, honor roll students, girls with bright futures. But behind the smiles lurked something twisted. Sheila, in particular, seemed unfazed. She kept tweeting even after Rachel confessed. Wonder if there's a law against being too sexy. No one knows the real me. She even posted a tribute to Skylar after her disappearance. Standing in front of missing posters, pretending to grieve. It was like watching a sociopath wear a mask.
Rachel, on the other hand, broke down completely. She pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. But Sheila, she denied everything. Until the evidence became too overwhelming to ignore, investigators uncovered chilling details. Text messages between Sheila and Rachel revealed planning. We really have to do it soon. I can't wait to get it over with. Don't chicken out. They brought bleach to clean up, clean clothes to change into, and knives hidden under sweatshirts. It wasn't a heat-of-the-moment decision. It was premeditated murder. And it was cold. Sheila was finally arrested in May 2013, nearly a year after the murder. She walked into court with freshly straightened hair, a designer handbag, and an emotionless stare, as if this was all just a minor inconvenience. No apology, no remorse, just silence. In January 2014, Sheila Eddy pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. She was sentenced to life in prison with mercy, meaning she could be eligible for parole after 15 years. Rachel received 30 years with a chance of parole after 10. Two teenage girls who once had slumber parties, movie nights, and matching selfies with Skylar now traded their freedom for cold prison cells. Skylar's parents were left with a hole that would never be filled. They had trusted these girls, welcomed them into their home, laughed with them, shared dinners, treated them like daughters. And those same girls slaughtered their only child out of boredom, out of cruelty, out of pure evil. And now, every parent in America was asking the same terrifying question. What if it were my child? After the sentencing, the courtroom emptied out, reporters packed up, cameras turned off. But for Dave and Mary Neese, the nightmare was just beginning. They had buried their daughter, they had watched her killers smile in court, and now they were expected to move on? How do you move on when your daughter's last breath came at the hands of someone she trusted? Every corner of their home was still filled with Skylar's memory, the posters, the awards, the unopened birthday gifts. And every night the silence screamed louder than ever. No knock at the door, no late-night laughter, just nothing. A home once filled with life, now haunted by betrayal. In the aftermath, the town of Star City was never the same. People looked at their children differently, at their friends differently. Parents wondered, could my child be capable of this? Skylar Neese's story is one the world must never forget, because it teaches us friendship is powerful, but so is betrayal. And not all monsters hide in the dark. Some sit beside us, smile at us, tell us secrets. The betrayal Skylar suffered wasn't just physical, it was emotional, psychological, and final. But even in death, she left behind a legacy, Skylar's Law. Her journal entries, her fight to be heard even when no one was listening. She wanted to matter, and she does. Because today, when we tell her story, we remember the price of silence. We remember the danger of ignoring red flags. And we remember Skylar, the girl who wanted to believe in friendship, even as it killed her. If this story shook you, if it broke your heart, please like the video. It helps more people hear Skylar's story. And let me know in the comments,
What would you say to Sheila and Rachel, if you could? Do you think justice was served? Don't forget to subscribe for more real cases that deserve to be remembered. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and never ignore the red flags.